Hey Flatirons, thanks for joining us online. We're in the middle of our series, First Things First, where we're taking a look at the domino effect our priorities can have on the rest of our lives. If you have any questions along the way, don't hesitate to contact us online or on social media.
Hey, so maybe you've heard that Coldplay song before, and you're sitting there going, oh, that's nice, that's nice. But then there was one line in there or one sentence or whatever that is, and you went, that feels like my life. Okay, so hang on to that one, because that's where we're gonna land probably for you, all right? So I don't know what God's gonna do with that, just hang on to it. So we're continuing this First Things First series where we've been looking at some really, they're objective. They're not even subjective, they're just objective truths, concepts that really feel hard. Jesus is he's loving, but he's also honest, and he goes, hey, let me just lay this out for you. This is how life works. This is how reality works. He doesn't sugarcoat it. Let's just look at your lives. And the truths we've been looking at over the last couple of weeks and all the way up into Easter next week, they're really intrusive. Like, I can't think of anything more that Jesus or anybody else could say to me that would bring up more emotion or more defensiveness. And even, if you've been in the last couple of weeks, maybe you even got angry about it. Because the thing that Jesus is talking about, we've been looking at this whole series, it's about faith. Like who or what do you put your confidence in? Like who do you trust, all right? To best take care of you and supply what you need. And that's not intrusive. The intrusive, like emotional part that gets us all fired up is that Jesus uses how we prioritize and spend our money as the number one revealer to expose the answer to that faith question. And I don't want to talk about money, all right? And this is not a money talk, it's a faith talk, all right? But here's what we know about money and faith. Jesus says his biggest competition for who you trust in to take care of you, it's not Satan, it's money. It's like we live our lives in a tug of war. Picture like Jesus has got this arm over here and he's going, hey buddy, Jim, come my way. I promise I will take care of you and I'll keep you safe. That's great. Then you have money over here going, hey, maybe for the spiritual stuff, but for real life, 9 to 5, real life out there, you're gonna need me. I'm the only thing that can keep you happy and safe. And we always feel like, do I trust Jesus or do I trust money? And I don't know which one is gonna take care of me. That's just tug of war. That's just this faith dilemma we're in. So here's what we've looked at over the last couple of weeks. And again, we're not talking, this isn't a money talk, so take a breath. This is a faith talk. But how we choose to spend our money reveals who and what we love, all right? And it's a choice. We're not victims. My heart is my willpower. I choose to point my willpower, my effort, and my dollars at the thing that I love the most. That's just true. And then last week, we looked at this, is that our level of generosity, like our willingness to let go of our money, reveals who and what we serve. Jesus would say, that's your master. When you're trying to figure out where am I gonna let go of my money, what's the biggest influencer for you to let your money go in a direction? Like what would you trust in? What's your faith? What's the big filter going, oh, okay, I feel safe doing that? So that's what we've covered the last couple of weeks. So in the very first week, though, I said, this is what we're gonna cover on the third week, and we're gonna get there today. And when I announced it 3 weeks ago, a moan went through the room. And it's probably gonna happen again. Here's what we're gonna look at today. Our worry, like what we're worried about all week long, reveals what we haven't surrendered. And you know what, we're like, we don't disagree with it. We agree with it, we just don't wanna talk about it, right? Right, what we worry about reveals what we haven't surrendered. So let's all get on the same page, like a definition of terms. So for the rest of today, when I say the word worry, here's what I mean. It's that fear and anxiety that disrupts or splits our personality, like our identity, and it splits our mind, it splits how we think. So last week, Jesus said this. He said, the eyes are like the lamp or the window of the body, and how you see the world, how you look at the world determines like, okay, I look to that to tell me what's true. I look to that to tell me what to do. And then trying to live my lives with double vision or split focus, he says it's like trying to serve two masters, and that doesn't go well. Have you ever had more than one person coming at you with advice? Here's what you ought to do. Well, here's what I would do. Here's what you ought to do, over and over and over. And finally, you just get angry and frustrated. Everybody just needs to shut up, right? Well, today what Jesus is gonna point to is very similar to that split thing. He says that our worry comes from this. The source of our worry comes from a split identity. We don't know who we are anymore. And when we don't know who we are, then we don't know what we're worth. And that's a bad road. And sometimes when we worry, he says, you have a split mind. We don't know, or maybe we've forgotten, we don't even know what's true anymore. We used to know what's true, but then life got crazy. I'm not even sure it's true anymore. And then we start thinking wrong and making really bad decisions. Have you ever gone through something and at the end, somebody looks and go, what were you thinking? You go, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. You're thinking wrong. You were thinking that something wasn't true was actually true, and then you made a decision on that, and it all fell apart. Now, before we even get into this, let me just kind of set all this like first things first thing up before we get into this. All right, so none of what I'm going to say today makes sense, or none of what Jesus is going to teach us should be trusted or applied to your life. You shouldn't make any changes in your life unless the one saying it or teaching it, Jesus, not me, Jesus. And he's gonna make some big promises here, but the only reason you should even pay attention to him is that you trust him. And the only reason that you ought to trust Jesus at all, because if you don't trust him, this is just ludicrous, right? But the only reason you should pay attention to Jesus or trust him is first things first. If he really did keep his promise of nail me to a cross, stick me in a hole, and on the third day, I'll walk out of it. If he really kept that promise, like he said he was gonna do, then maybe we should listen to the other stuff he said, because nobody's been able to do that. Maybe we should have some level of confidence in the other things that he promised, and possibly, I don't know what you're worried about right now. We're gonna get there. Maybe we wanna rethink it. You got me? All right, so just so you know, you might not get anything out of this. I'm just processing my own life out loud. So that's what it comes from a really, really personal place. So we're in Matthew chapter 6. It's right in the middle of the Sermon on the Mount, and Jesus is gonna pick up right where he left off last week, and we're gonna talk about worry, okay? So he says this, he says, therefore, all right, stop there. Anytime you see the word therefore, you gotta ask yourself, wonder what that's there for, all right? That's a preacher joke. I think it's funny. Anyway, therefore, if Jesus is who he says he is and keeps his promises, if that's really true, therefore pay attention to what comes next, all right? Therefore, and this is Jesus talking, he says, I tell you, then don't worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Question, is not life more important than food and the body more important than clothes? Now we're gonna break all that down. Therefore, if Jesus is who he says he is and will keep his promises, if that's true, then stop worrying so much about what am I gonna eat? Or do we have enough to eat? Do we have enough to drink? And about your body, what do I look like? What am I gonna wear today? Now listen, I'm gonna say this a lot in this talk, all right? Jesus is not saying, hey, it doesn't matter if you live or die on the big scope. He's not saying, it doesn't matter if your kids eat today. He's not saying that. I'm pretty sure he's not saying, it doesn't matter if you wear clothes or not. It matters. I went to Cancun in July. I actually went, they should have worried a little bit more. That Jesus loves them, but wow, fashion faux pas. Breathtaking. Anyway, but that's, see, this is the last service. I throw it all back in there, all right? So what Jesus is saying is this, and this is how I picture it in my mind. I think Jesus watches us, and this is kind of how it plays out in Jim world up here. Sometimes he goes, excuse me, Jim, I've been watching you, and it looks like a huge, like way out of proportion amount of your mind's, bandwidth and your thoughts and your attention and your emotion and so many minutes of the day. It just reveals that you're convinced that, again, just based on appearance, that the condition of your life, the goodness of your life is based on, you feel like you have to satisfy every hunger and thirst that comes along. And what other people will think about you when they see what you look like or what you're wearing, right? It looks like, Jim, if you don't have what you want in the moment, you act like you're just gonna die. You ever use that? I'll just die. It's just killing me, right? And you can deny it if you want, but this is what Jesus was saying to me. Hey, Jim, looking at how much anxiety and daily effort go into shoring up those two areas, you act like your life is over if you don't get what you want when you want it or look a certain way. All right, and translated, hey, Jim, the reason you're so worried is that your broken thoughts believe that in order to be content or safe or happy or whatever, you have to satisfy every internal want and desire. And in order to have enough value, you have to look a certain way or dresses look a certain way, and then you'll let everybody else tell you if you have value or not. Am I getting close to anybody? Not just me, right? Jesus says, well, let's just break that down, okay? Let's put some stuff into perspective. He says this. He says, look at the birds of the air. They don't sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Here's a question. Are you not much more valuable than birds? And the answer is, listen, I know it's Boulder County. Yes. Well, I just think we're all God's creatures. Shut up. All right, listen. Listen, the answer, don't write me emails. I will print them out and tear them up. All right, so you are more valuable than birds, according to Jesus. So the lesson is not, hey, take a lesson from the birds. Don't sow, don't reap, don't have a savings account, don't think about retirement, don't plan for college. It's not what he's saying. Jesus is not saying, be like the birds, just go sit in the park and wait for food to fall in your lap. It's not what he's saying. If you think about birds, they're pretty hard little workers. They work their tail feathers off, all right? So I studied this for you. I listened to an entire podcast about birds. You're welcome, from Jordan Peterson. And it's just amazing, all right? So let me tell you about birds. Birds work harder than I do, I promise that. From sunrise to sunset, birds spend all their time looking for food and then building a nest and then finding a mate and then raising babies and all those beautiful little songs out there, all right? They sound beautiful to us. They're actually, in bird language, they're warnings and challenges. When you hear the songbirds in the morning, you go, oh, it's just beautiful. To other birds, here's what the other birds hear. Don't screw with my stuff. Don't come near my nest. Don't take my stuff or I'll mess you up. Even the little ones, they're just vicious little things. So tie this in. Okay, so Jesus, what's the lesson? The lesson is be like birds. They work hard. So here's the lesson. Work hard and do all that you know to do. Just like the birds, do everything you know to do to take care of and provide for and protect what God has entrusted to you. Just do all you know to do. But, big one, all right? But don't miss your life because your mind is so jacked up, worried about, yeah, but what about this and what about that? And what if this happens? And then what if that happens? And what? Listen, Jesus has already told us how to pray. Remember this? Give us this day our daily bread. Just focus on the day. Well, what about tomorrow? I believe that God is faithful. He'll show up tomorrow. He'll take care of me tomorrow. I just got enough for today. He does it for birds, and according to Jesus, we're a little higher on the priority list than birds, all right? So next he goes, let me talk about another area of life that you are just absolutely losing your mind about. He says this, so who of you by worrying can add a single hour to his life? It can translate to one inch to his height. By worrying, do you get taller? Does your life last longer by worrying? Actually, your life gets shorter. But you're stressed out about everything, all right? So he goes on and he says this, so why do you worry about clothes? Oh, what am I gonna wear? See how, let's move from birds to flowers. See how the lilies of the field grow? They don't labor or spin. Yet I tell you that not even Solomon, greatest, richest king in the history of humanity, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. Now question, if that's how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, question, will he not much more clothe you? Oh, and look at this. Oh, you of little faith. And really, that's not a great translation. Jesus actually, it's not an adjective on faith. He actually invents a noun. He invents a new word, goes, oh, you little faith. You're a little faith. I've been watching you, Jim. By definition, you're a little faith. But listen, I got flowers, I got birds, I got you. Now, if that's true, how about this? So don't worry saying, what shall we eat or what shall we drink or what shall we wear? Why? For the pagans run after all these things. And what's the next two words? Hang on to that, all right? Your heavenly Father knows that you need them. Again, Jesus is not saying you are such a selfish, conceited person if you're thinking about what you're gonna eat later today and what you're gonna wear tomorrow. How could you be that shallow? No. He's not saying eating food and wearing clothes that is not important. What he's saying is it's spun out of control in your life. You've lost perspective of where it fits. And you're looking to the wrong source to fill you up and tell you that you have value. He says, that's what people do who don't have me in their life. They're not living a with God kind of life. They live their life going, will you all tell me if I have worth? Well, can you tell me if I have value? If I get that, then I'll feel good and then I'll be all right. He says, you've forgotten the first things first part. You're worrying about things that aren't true. And they spun way out of control and out of priority in your life in light of what is really true, which is this. This is so good. You have a heavenly Father. In this crazy world, it's easy to forget that. You have a heavenly Father who loves you. I believe that's why God drug some of your butts in here today. Hey, I'm still here. And I love you. And listen, I know what you need. And your Heavenly Father wants you to be full. Your Heavenly Father wants you to know that you matter. You matter. You matter to Him, but you just matter. And He says, listen, I know what you need and I will supply it. And I know how to do it. You gotta trust me. And then here comes the next verse. If all that's true, therefore, right? How about this? Then seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things that you're freaking out about will be given to you as well. This is our memory verse, right? Let's just say it together. 1, 2, 3. But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and then all these things will be given to you as well. Now look at this next verse, okay? Therefore, why is it therefore? All right, therefore, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will worry about itself. And this next one is a picture taker. This is just true. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Can I get an amen? That's just true. There's so much tomorrow. I can't even handle that. I'm just gonna look at today. That crushes me, right? Let's just look at today. Give us today our daily bread, and tomorrow you and I'll talk again. It's about priorities. He says, listen, just seek me first. Ask me first, Jesus says. Ask what I'm doing and come join me. I want to use you in the world. I've got you covered. How about this? Why don't we go to Jesus and go, hey, listen, I know what I think I need, but Jesus, what do you think that I need in order to be satisfied? Because I'm not, to be happy and to be content with my life. What is it I really need, Jesus? I'm asking you first. What is it that I need to know in order to know that everything's gonna be all right? What do I need to have on the inside? And Jesus, what am I looking for? And why do I keep doing it? Why am I looking for other people or from the mirror, thinking if I will get whatever they have to offer, then if I look a certain way or put off a certain image or I'm the right size, then somehow I'll be okay. It's exhausting. How about this? What am I worrying about? And where am I looking, hoping to find something that really I can only find in Jesus? And He's the last person I ask, right? And here's the thing, I keep looking, and it's never ever delivered what I'm hoping for in the past, long-term or sustainably. I mean, it helps for a while, and then it fades away. And why do I keep repeating the same thing over and over? What do you think about me? What do you think about me? What do you think about me? Over and over. It just tears you up inside. So let me throw something out, and this is my own stuff going on. I'm gonna throw it at you. If it sticks, take it home. If not, leave it here, all right? But there's some part of us, there's some part of me that thinks, I got a problem, all right? And somewhere out there is an answer or a solution or something that if I can just figure it out, how to do it the right way, then here's my life. Then I can make things turn out the way that I want or hope. Anybody else run their life like that? Here's a problem. All right, I gotta figure this out, all right? We've been taught this all our life. And this is just absolutely countercultural. We've been told this. We've been lied to all of our lives about this. And with good hearts and good intentions, we've actually deceived our own children because we've said the same thing to our children, and then they get out there and the world flattens them. They're like, well, that didn't help. Here's what we've been told our whole life. We've been told that anything that we want to be, we can be. Anything that we want to do, we can do. We can make impossible things happen if we can just figure out the secret sauce or the magic code, or if we work harder, or if we work hard enough. You can be, you can do, you can accomplish anything that your mind or your heart desires. There are no limits for you. And so you know what? We live our whole lives going, yes. And we hit the gym, or we hit the library, or we hit the whatever, trying to figure out, how can I make that happen? It's the theme of every underdog inspirational movie I've ever seen. It's that little Rudy guy winning the football game. Yeah, right? It's the amputee who scales the unclimbable mountain. It's the soldier who gets captured and then he escapes. It's David, defeating Goliath. And we sit in those movie theaters or we read these books and we go, that's me. That's inspirational. And if he can do it or she can do it, then I can do it. Or we sit in the dark of a movie theater and going, I can never be like him. I can't do that. And the guilt and the shame just push us into the floor, right? Because what we're facing, it's not a game. It's not a football game. And I'm not winning. It's not getting better. Not getting better, is it? It's actually getting worse. All right, so one of my favorite teachers, and I quote him a lot, Dallas Willard, he passed away a few years ago, but he has this famous quote. Well, it's famous to me. I'd never heard it before. I was reading one of his books, and this just jumped out at me, and it's kind of the theme of what I'm talking about today. He said this: what you worry about reveals what you have not surrendered to God. And listen, I love Dallas, but I hate that because it's true, and I don't want it to be true. And there's two parts of it I really, really, really don't like. Like two things come to me. Like whenever I see the word worry, all right? If you come and go, hey, Jim, why are you so worried? I'll get really defensive and I'll argue with it and I'll rationalize. I'm not worried. I'm concerned. All right? I'm dedicated. I'm focusing my efforts and my willpower to make this really important. It's got to happen. It needs to happen. I'm going to make it happen. So that's why it's consuming like all of my energy and all my attention, all my minutes, because this is important and I got to figure it out. And if I don't figure it out, nobody's going to figure it out. And the part about that I don't like is if I don't figure it out, nobody's gonna figure it out. And then what? Then I'll be stuck with my life. And the idea of being stuck, living a life with the results that aren't gonna change, it's just gonna be more of this, it's really scary to me. And I'm not talking hypothetical, it's really frightening. What life might look like if that doesn't get fixed. So I gotta fix it. But I'm not worried. I'm dedicated. So I don't like the word worry. I hate the word surrender. In almost every context, I just hate the word surrender. Because when I see or hear somebody say surrender, here's what goes through my mind. You mean they got beat. They lost. They put up a white flag and they got defeated, right? They gave up. And now they're depending on somebody else to take care of them because they surrendered, which means this, in my mind, people who surrender are weak and don't care. That's not true, it's just what goes through my head. People who surrender are quitters. They give up, they don't care, they don't love enough, because if they loved more and cared enough, they would never have quit, they would have kept trying. And that's the exhausting way to live. Everybody with me? Am I the only one feeling, someone just nod your head? There. All right, So here, this get your phone out. This is gonna be your new. You're gonna repeat this at work tomorrow. You're gonna sound so smart. Here's what Dallas Willard says to people who are worried and live your whole life with this pressure of I gotta fix this. It's all up to me to fix this. If I don't fix this, then I'm just gonna die. And that's a big chunk of our week. All right. Here's what he says. This is so good. If you're worried about something, go outside and push on a giant boulder or a mountain. Well, why would I do that? This is good. You'll immediately realize that most of the universe does not respond to your willpower. I mean, you can push some little things around here and there, but the big rocks, the big mountains, listen, no matter how much you want some things to happen or how hard you try, most of the universe is beyond your control and your influence, above your pay grade. Right? It's just true. See, you cannot move most mountains through willpower or direct effort. How can you say that? Because you would have already moved them. Now that sounds kind of depressing, but Jesus does make us a promise. He says, as you're looking at that big mountain or that big boulder, listen, I promise I will make sure that you have all that you need, all these things. I'll give an example of this. So one day, Jesus had these 12 young guys, disciples. Another word for disciple would be apprentice. They followed him around for 3 years. They listened to him. They watched him. They had homework assignments. And the whole goal was after 3 years, when Jesus left, they'd be able to keep on doing what he did. That's the role. That's a disciple. That's what we're trying to do, all right? So one day Jesus sends his disciples out to do some things, really good things, heal some people and cast demons out and stuff like that. And his friends came back to him feeling defeated because they tried to do something really good. Something that would have made other people's lives better. They went and they did what Jesus told them to do, but when they tried to do it, it didn't happen. Not because they did it wrong. Here's why they're so frustrated. They did everything right, and the problem, the mountain, didn't even pay attention. It didn't even budge. You ever felt like that? I did everything right. My mountain didn't move. So look at this. Then the disciples came to Jesus in private. I think that's important. I do. I think they were embarrassed. Do you ever feel embarrassed by, I should have more faith? There's something wrong with me, right? I think they say, hey, Jesus, come here. buddy, we did it right. What, right? We've all prayed that prayer. The disciples came to Jesus in private and they asked, why couldn't we drive it out? Why? We did what you told us to do. Why didn't it move? And look at this answer. Jesus replied, because you have, I'll just translate the right way, because you're a little faith. You're a little faith. Right now, you're you're by definition, you're a little faith. But truly, you're not gonna stay this way. Truly, I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, and that's this little tiny like grain of sand, I think it's the smallest seed in the whole plant kingdom. But if you had that faith, just that much faith, you could say to that mountain, move from here to there, and it'll move. And then here's the kicker, all right? If you have this much faith, nothing will be impossible for you, which sounds totally contradictory to what he just said, right? So let me see if I can put them together. All right, there are some things in this world and in your life and in your relationships, all right? There are some things that will not respond to religious formulas or secret codes. And even if you do everything right, even if you go and you do exactly what you know Jesus tells you to do, they won't move. They won't change. They won't respond to your will or your prayer or your hopes. There are some mountains that only move because of faith. And it's not a lot. It's a faith that starts as this tiny seed and it grows. Well, how does faith grow? Here's how faith grows. So I took a little step of faith and Jesus was faithful. And then I took another step of faith and then he was faithful in that. And then, this is a big one. I took a big one and then he was there for me. Then I came right up to the edge of the cliff. And if you don't catch me, I'm gonna die. But he caught me. And now I come to this mountain because I've been living life with Jesus and my faith's been growing and growing and growing and growing. Now when I come to this mountain, whether this moves the way I think it's gonna move or not at all, here's what I know. My Jesus will be faithful. I'm not worried because I know my God who raised Jesus from the dead will be faithful to me. Even though he doesn't feel like he is. And I don't know how he's gonna do this. So I let my wife read my sermon. And she says, you're not gonna stand up there and say that. And no. So I rewrote part of my sermon. So this is from Robin. Please hear me, okay? Because we have so many stupid Christians tell us this. And if you're one of these people, just knock it off. I've had people come and say, listen, I'm not saying the reason that your problem or your cancer or your addiction or your depression, your mountain, I'm not saying the reason it hasn't moved is because you're doing something wrong. And if you just had more faith, if you had a different kind of faith, then your problem would be over. That's not in the Bible, right? If it's in the Bible, then God owes a lot of people apologies. Right? So I'm not saying if you did something right, then your problem would move. No, what I'm saying is this, is that the reason that we are living in fear of what life is going to look like, whether or not this mountain moves or stays, our fear is directly tied to our level of faith and trust that if we continue to fix our eyes on Jesus and not the mountain, but if I just keep looking at Jesus first, he will make sure that I have all that he knows that I need, whether I can see it or not, whether I can feel it or not, whether I can understand it or not, whether I like it or not. But God will be faithful. And some days that's easier than others. Most days, I'll be honest with you, I'm just a little faith. But even when my faith fails, Jesus is always big faith. He's faithful when I'm not. You gotta hear that. We're all gonna fail. He's not. Our faith is gonna fall apart. He doesn't. He's better than us. And I can trust in that promise. So let me close with this, all right? Now you look at your watch going, oh crap, he's early. Don't get used to it. Think about this. If worry means I have a split mind and I don't even know what's true anymore, and if worry means that I have a split personality, I don't even know who I am to God or anybody else anymore. So if you're in that spot and you've been there a while, and when you're really scared or you're really depressed and the mountain in front of you has not been there for 5 minutes, it's been there for decades. You don't even remember your life before this. This is your life, all right? In times like that, see if I'm close, you just want to tap out and go, what's the hope? And I had that conversation with Robin in the kitchen the other day. It's just hopeless. The natural thing to conclude is this. Well, I guess I'm not important or important enough or loved enough by God can or won't take care of me. Anybody there? Been there? Gonna go there. Here's what keeps us alive. There's this rope, lifeline, whatever you want to call it, that you have to hold on to. And it's gonna sound very simplistic, but it goes like this. If Jesus kept his promise to rise from the dead on the third day, I think I might be able to trust him to walk through this and every other valley with me. I gotta look at this different. I gotta rethink worry if Jesus is who he says he is. So I had my sermon all written, and I sent it out to all the campus pastors, and I was just expecting them to tell me how great it was. And so Stephen Krieger, who's the campus pastor up in Longmont, he came by my office and he goes, hey, Jim, I read your talk. I'm like, yeah. He goes, are you open to some stuff? I'm like, sure, buddy, come on in. I love to be criticized. Come on in. He said, I said, Stephen, yeah, tell me. And he goes, so what's the opposite of worry? He's like, well, give it to me. He said, peace. The Hebrew word is shalom. The opposite of worry is shalom. And you can translate the Hebrew word shalom 3 different ways, and I think they're all pretty good. It can mean this, as God meant it to be. It means there's this truth, and I'm gonna live out that truth as if it was actually true. It doesn't feel true, it doesn't make sense, but I'm not gonna go how I feel right now. That's true, and I'm gonna live as if it's true. And there's peace in that. What's the alternative? Here's the other one. This one lands really, really good. So the word peace can actually be translated whole, as in not split personality, not split thinking, not split vision, all right? Whole. It means this, I have clarity on this. I am loved, I am valuable, and God keeps his promise. If you can really keep your eyes focused on that, you're gonna be fine. Here's the third one, all right? Right thinking. Peace can mean I'm thinking right. So here's what we gotta go and face this mountain. So if he conquered the mountain of death, the odds are pretty good he's gonna be faithful to me. Now, I'm done. Off script. What's your mountain? What are you gonna do? And what are you telling God to do? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, okay? And this will get me fired in most churches. I've prayed a prayer many, many times that goes back, it looks back at God and goes, hey, God, by the way, I don't think you're a very good God. Anybody? You're not doing your job, and I don't feel loved. And if you love me, why won't you move this mountain? Why don't you fix this problem? And you know what? God is so good. When I tell him he's not good, you know what? He's still good. And I don't hurt his feelings. He just says, come on, get it out. I'm angry, I'm scared, I'm frustrated, I'm worried. Why? Because this thing, I got you. So let me leave you this. So a lot of us were raised in a church, or we walked away from church, and I bet this is why. Somebody like me stood up here and said something like this: if you had more faith, and if you did enough good things for God, and if you were a better person, then God would put a magic Jesus bubble around you, and life wouldn't hurt you anymore. Okay, that is not in the Bible. It's not. No, listen, Jesus said this in one of his last talks to those disciples. He said, hey, let me just tell you, in this world, you will have trouble. And then right after this, they go nail him to a cross. So he kind of knows what he's talking about. All right? So in this world, listen, you sign up and you go with me, you're still gonna have trouble. You might have a whole new level of trouble just because you're following me. But that's not the end of the verse. The rest of the verse goes like this. But take heart. Don't be afraid. Don't worry. Why? I win. Yeah, in this world, you will have trouble. They'll nail you to a cross. This is my Easter talk next week. And the only reason you can face crucifixion is because you know on the other side of it is the promise of resurrection. I don't know what's being crucified in your life right now, but I bet it hurts. I bet it's scary, and you don't know what to do. And the only thing we have is Jesus got to hold on to you. Some of us, that's enough just to keep our head above water for one more hour, and then we string up some hours together, and then we get a day. We get a whole day of not losing it. And then we put 2 days together, and then 3 days, and then we got a couple weeks together, and then we look back and go, my God is faithful. That's why some of us are still alive. That's why some of us are still married. That's why some of us made it through the divorce. I don't know what you're going through, what that valley is, but my God is faithful. And if my God is faithful and my God is with me, I will fear no evil. And that may be why God brought you in here today. Don't give up. Jesus says, I win, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna pray. We're gonna sing this song. We're gonna get out here early. Don't get used to it. Gonna go watch Game of Thrones. It's a bad show, he shouldn't. Let's just stand up at all our campuses. Let me pray. So God, in this moment right now, I just in the room I'm standing, I see a bunch of tears because it's not hypothetical. We all have a mountain and it just seems like it's gonna crush us. And we've looked everywhere, to everyone, to find a solution, to tell us we're okay and to make it all get better. And then at the bottom of the list sometimes is, oh yeah, Jesus, you wanna speak into this? And you're so good and you're so faithful and you're so kind and you're so patient. And so you just look and goes, by the way, I haven't gone anywhere. I've been with you all the time. Oh yeah. So God, I don't know what everybody's going through that's listening to my voice right now, but I bet it's a lot. So I don't want to minimize that. But here's your promise. Hang on to me and I win. And when you hang on to me, you win. And a day is coming with this mountain, it won't matter anymore. And you'll be whole, and you'll be healed, and you'll know who you are. All made possible because of a God who sent his son Jesus to us, who made a promise, nailed me to a cross and watch, and he rose from the dead. So we pray all of this in the name of that Jesus. Amen.